Now, one of the things I was thinking about the other day was how the epidemic we are in right now is creating a lot of pain and fear. But we can look at the situation another way, like I've talked prior to coming back. It's important for us to recognize what we can do rather than focus solely on the damage that this is causing and how helpless we feel. And that's important for our mental health because when we feel our hands are tied, our choices are taken away, and our livelihood of what we normally do on a daily basis has been completely disrupted. It is very important to recognize the things that we can do to help ourselves during this situation. Because, like I talked about the meditation and how to give yourself the opportunity to do it for however long you think you can handle. And I've also talked about when you think about the situation, what you can do, it's important to know what limits you put on yourself and navigate that in a sense of focusing on what you can do for the moment and then look forward to the future and what else you can improve in your own lives. And I spoke about even journaling and writing down your gratitude of what is working and what you're grateful for. And I think it's important. Speaking of the gratitude, I started doing my gratitude journal just 2 weeks ago, believing that, this is a very crucial time for us and we need to focus on what is working in our lives because it is very easy to get off the positive aspects of thinking and creating what we need and then focus on all the chaos, all the discomfort, all of that. But then we can choose to start getting something back into our lives to make us feel empowered and feel like we do have a choice in letting this take us down, or we can stand together and create a meaningful relationship, a meaningful family, a meaningful way of relating to one another, being on your neighbor and on neighbor level or friendship level or co-workers level or people you go to church with, which you can't do now. You can't go to church. You can't go to your meeting place for speaking about anything. Your book reviews or your book clubs that you could do. Sometimes people get together and review a book together, but that's not it. But a book club or, the simple social clubs that we used to take for granted and we thought, oh, it's just something fun to do to while away the time. Now we are recognizing that those were very essential for our own existence in a sense of being a part of the community, contributing something to the community, being connected. That connectivity, we forgot how important it is for our own mental health, for our sense of self. So this time is very important for us to be grateful for the type of norm that we can create and get used to by simply being focused and intentional in recalling those moments and finding ways to encourage one another and give a lending hand. If you see someone who is trying to do something, of course with social distancing, you can encourage them. You may not be able to pick up the stuff to help them carry it, but you can encourage them by saying, hey, how's it going? Keep it up, neighbor. Because we need that. We are a community after all, a community that's connected. So we have to do that. One thing I also think about is I think I spoke about opportunity for us to grow and become much more healthier emotionally, and of course spiritually, and see how well we jive together as part of the human race, as one family. We've forgotten the community relations or human relation, the true right human relation of being one with one another. And it's very important for us to recognize that. This is a time for us to take the time to learn to be grateful, because when things are so dark, if we are not grateful, we will get sucked up by the darkness. We will be crushed. And it's important to see and seek the light in such a dark and dreary situation that we are in. The other day I was watching something. It was so funny. This wife was so excited that her husband was home. He wasn't out there running around with his boys. He was home with her. They are talking so much more. They have been eating dinner together. They've been discussing their family. And he's actually listening, because he's not going to run. He's not going to say, I got to go, or I got to go and see a friend, or I'm going to go and do something. He was there. And she was so overjoyed. She was so grateful, and said she thanked the situation that is happening now, and how her husband is home, and they've communicated so much more now than they ever did. And she was grateful. I had a blast laughing at that video, because she was very comical, very animated, dancing and doing her own thing. And it was funny. I thought that was cute. But jokes aside, it's difficult. But the pleasures of the little things that are happening now, I think people are beginning to tune in and recognizing. I heard someone say, at least for once, the world sees that doctors do their part, but Jesus does his part too. And people are beginning to acknowledge that and then realize that. And it's refreshing to hear stuff, and I get surprised, and I'm like, oh, okay. So people are taking notice of these things. And so when I read that article, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. People are coming up with things like that about what was lost before. We are now speaking about it publicly without feeling any type of fear that somebody might go after us or say something. So it's important for us to keep a perspective of what we can do, what we can have, put a handle on, and create a moment for ourselves that will guide us through this serious situation that we are in. And it's not just one nation, it's the whole world that's troubled with this. And it's not something for the faint at heart. Unfortunately, we are all in it together. One thing I also recognize that is that I find myself calling my friends more often and checking up on them. I called a friend this morning, and I was checking up on her. And then when I checked up on her, she didn't pick up. So when she finally did pick up, she said, oh gosh, I am so sorry. I was so tired. I was asleep. I hope you forget. I was like, please, honey, it's forgotten. It's not a big deal, you know, because it isn't a big deal. If we call and we don't get in touch with our loved ones, it's not a big deal. They will call back because guess what? They're not going anywhere. They're indoors. So they may be sleeping or doing something that they couldn't get to the phone. So um, we should be calling each other more often, and also, not to mention, build that friendship of the connection. You know, build a connection with the friendship, sorry, and then create a meaningful relationship. I think that's what we got away from. So now take this time to build a meaningful relationship, a genuine relationship where you know that if you call upon them when you need something, they will show up. You know, it's too bad when we have friendships in quotation marks that are based on surface friendship. It doesn't work because when you need them, they don't show up. Surface friendship might be okay in the public. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you good? Yeah, you good. That's it. But then you never have them call you and check on you. That is time wasted. And it's a waste of your breath. You know, rather be available for the true friendships that when you need a helping hand, they will be there. When you need a shoulder to cry on, they will be there. Those are what we should start building and focusing on. Pay attention. You know, I always say to myself, if I can count my friends on one hand, I have way too many friends. Because the people that I'm counting on one hand, when I call and tell them the roof is caving in, they will show up. The walls are caving in, they will show up. Those are the people you need. But the people who are the noisemakers, the public figures that just shows you, oh yeah, I'm in the public, yeah, oh yeah, you're my buddy, you're my friend, you're my dog. And then behind closed doors, you don't see them. Those are the ones you need to avoid. Because guess what? You'll be wasting all that time and energy. And then when it's time to need them and collect, sorry to use that word, collect, but when it's time to count on that friendship, it's not going to be there. And that is painful. And that's time wasted. You know, and it's important to differentiate who is your foe and who is not. Because once you do that, the rest is easier to handle because you can rest assured that you can trust that friend. And if you can't, it's not worth it. Anyways, so it's been a pleasure talking to you this evening. One thing I will say is this: always be present to learn something new. Because once you learn, you can never unlearn it. So this is Rhoda Aglago with Love, Forgive, Live Show. Thank you for lending me your ears and hearing me chatter on. And we'll talk to you next time. Be safe, love, and always understand love is the cheapest thing to give, but at the same time, it's almost the most expensive thing to get. It costs nothing, but it's the most expensive thing to get. So love one another, and we all in this together. Have a great, great week. Oops, I have 8 more seconds left. Anyways, We'll talk next episode.